Yo, dude, I think I got a pretty good idea for a new knife that I don't think I've ever seen before. Oh, congrats. You're just gonna go and make a little new Chinesium thing, aren't you? You gotta put steel to the belts to be able to call yourself a knife designer. Sorry to say, man, but, times have been changing. There's things called the internet, there's stuff like CAD, there's, new techniques and new approaches other than just doing all the handwork. Got total respect for what you do, but there are other ways to get a knife made nowadays. Come Roger, Chinesium, oh, D2, Sweet. Thanks for the support and, not being a gatekeeper and trying to help the next generation of people kind of get into this industry. Cool. Damn millennials. What's going on, everybody? The Real Sharif M here, aka Manganas Steel, your favorite knife designer, here with a new video. Before I get into the subject matter, I just wanted to say thank you for everybody who subscribed to me and interacted in the comments. I really appreciate every single one of you. If you're new here, please click the subscribe button, turn on notifications, drop a comment below. Really helps me grow the channel and really helps with the algorithm. Now, with all that YouTube BS aside, let's get into today's topic. Today, I really wanted to discuss and kind of pull the veil back on how to get a knife design that you may have like kind of going on in your head made. Let me tell you a little bit about where I start, okay? I always start with a concept, an idea in my head, or a problem that I want to solve, okay? So do I want to create something that's like inspired by cyberpunk? Or is there, like a series of lines? Do I want to do something like automotive inspired or, something like that? And I will always start there. Or if it's a problem that I'm trying to solve, say like, okay, hey man, I've searched and searched for a knife just like this, and I can't seem to find it. That's a really strong position for you to start designing, essentially. Start with a concept, start with a problem you want to solve. From there, I love to doodle. Sit down with pen and paper, sit down with a pencil, and just doodle. Now, here's the thing. These don't need to be perfect. So don't sit there, and actually it's probably better if you start with a pen because you can't erase. You just want to create different variations as much as possible. Do 30, 40, doodles on a page of exactly like what you're trying to get, because with each one, you're going to kind of refine your concept. And actually, believe it or not, in my industrial design school, they taught us this. They said, like one of the assignments would be, we want 100 sketches for this concept. And believe me, by the time you get to, doodle 40 or 50, you're so exhausted, you're just starting to pull out crazy shit out of your brain that's when the gems actually really come out. So start by doodling. Once you find a design that you really, really like and you're really happy with, on the doodle level, that's when you can try and bring it up to like a sort of full-size scale. What do I mean by this? I mean, you're going to sit down, maybe scan it, enlarge it, try to get the proportions correct. So if you start with like a little doodle, like here's an example of some doodles that I did. I'll take that, I'll scan it, and I'll say, oh, well, I kind of want the blade to be, let's say, about 3 inches long. So I'll try and in the enlarging process and nail that blade length to be 3 inches, okay? And then I'll start drawing on a full-size, like 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and try and refine that, okay? Now, one of the things you may be worried about is like, okay, well, I'll draw it on a piece of paper. How do I like trace it and do more variations? Well, I got a little pro tip for you there. One of the things, and my camera was resting right on top of it, one of the things I use is this guy. This is an LED drawing tracing pad, okay? You can get these on Amazon for around 20 to 30 bucks. They are touch sensitive here, boom, yep, see? And they get brighter, and they get even brighter, and then they get dimmer as well. You see? Boom. Nice, right? So these are phenomenal. These will cost you like 20, 30 bucks. And what I can do is I can take a sheet of paper where I have a sketch, put on another sheet of paper, my pencil drawing will show up, and I can trace it. And then if there's something that I want to change, something I want to keep, I can do variations like that really quickly. All right? So once you've done all of that and you've refined it, now you may ask yourself, how does this feel in the hand, right? I always wonder that, and it's always something that is very important to me. If you guys know or have handled any of my knives, ergonomics are a huge factor to me. So I figure that out by doing another technique that I learned in school, which we called study models. Basically what that means is I will trace out like the silhouette of my knife that I just finished sketching, and I'll cut that out with like scissors or whatever, right? And then I'll put it onto a piece of foam board, right? And then I'll cut that out with an X-Acto blade, and I'll end up with something like this, okay? This is a concept for a mini GRAZIOSO, and so what I'll do then is I'll see, okay, how does this fit? This is about a 3.5 finger design for me, or with the back of it here, I can get 3 fingers and kind of like choke back for a little bit of control. Okay, I'll understand this is working, that's not working, etc., etc. And you end up really being able to feel out your knife before you do something like more complicated, like going to 3D, right? And the reason why this is so valuable to me, ultimately, is if it works in this blocky, kind of uncomfortable sort of 3D shape, then it's going to feel very comfortable when you get into the actual final product, because you're either going to like round surfaces or you're going to chamfer edges and stuff like that, right? So if you guys were watching like Lefty's show or live last night, I showed like this guy. This is another concept. I made it a little bit thicker, as you can see here, so I could feel the handle thickness. And man, if it feels comfortable like this, you got a winner, you know. And this will show you where potential hotspots are really fast, okay? Here's an example. I believe this is the large Inkosi, if I'm not mistaken. And if you look at this in my hands, notice right here, there's a bit of a point that looks like it's jabbing into my hand meat, right? Well, that actually translates to real life. Now, the real life knife is more comfortable than this foam, right? But this helped me identify a potential hotspot in the knife for my hands. And it's actually one of the reasons, because like when I've handled the knife in person, that kind of still exists. And now I know I don't need to buy a large Inkosi because it's not going to be as comfortable as I would like. So there is some value to doing this whole like foam model process. Now, once you have, you know, kind of tested it, if you do find that you have like some hot spots, you can take your X-Acto blade and kind of round that edge, or, cut out this section or whatever. And so you'll go back and forth. You can take this, once you've cut out that, you can put it down on a piece of paper, trace out the silhouette, and now you have your improvements integrated into your new sketch. And then you can cut out a new piece of foam and test out, if you make some other changes. And that's how we do what's called iterations. Really, really fast. Believe it or not, it's way faster to do it this way than for you to try and do it in like a 3D model and 3D printing, and a hell of a lot cheaper, right? Because I can get a sheet of that foam. Actually, I've got like 2 sheets of that in my closet, and I can bust out these iterations really quickly and cost me pennies on the dollar to do this, all day. I've got boxes, or not boxes, but I've got a box of these. I mean, this is just what I pulled out for the video. So this is one of my absolute favorite techniques. I've recommended it to people on a number of occasions to solve the issue. And even you can jump straight from sketch to foam to sketch, back and forth. And it's a great process of resolving, will this thing work in your hands? All right. So once you're done, you have figured out the ergonomics, you figured out the silhouette, you sketched in some of the details, I want it to be a bolster, etc., etc. Go back to Bob Trozzola's book and make sure now that you kind of work out how the whole locking side of the mechanism works. And if you're going to do a different approach than a liner or frame lock, because that's really what Bob's book is about, then you may need to do a little bit more research and kind of digging into things. This is where disassembling knives and taking measurements, or, kind of looking at how they do things is a big help. One of the most used tools in my personal arsenal, aside from a good pen and pencil, is a set of calipers like this guy, right? This will help you understand dimensions, proportions, all of this stuff. I can tell you right now, most pivots are 5 millimeters. Most bearings, outer diameter is 8 millimeters. There are some variations in there, but that gives you a base understanding of things, right? So now you have your sketch. It feels good in the hand. You've got your whole locking mechanism sort of figured out. Now you can potentially go to 3D. Now, I'm not going to talk too deep about 3D, but because it could really be its own video, all to itself, right? And I don't want to dig into all of that. But what I can tell you is this. Do you need 3D when submitting a design to knife companies? The answer is no, right? However, it does help to ensure that the spirit and concept of your design stays fairly pure, right? And if you don't want them kind of tweaking some things or making some changes to things that you may not approve of, 3D is kind of your answer to ensuring that doesn't happen. Now, having said that, there are some people who do have they offer a 3D modeling service. You can negotiate a price with them and get a 3D model made. So there are some options if you don't have the skills to do it, but it's up to you on whether you want to do 3D. Now, last but not least, if you've gone through this whole process and you are confident that you are going to get something made, or you're pretty sure you'd like to get something made, make a maker's mark, dude. You've done the work, right? That's mine, for example, for the premium line of, Manganas steel knives. By the way, this is a sticker that will be shipping with my knives soon, and I'll be sending them around to people. But, make a maker's mark. have pride, have a design that represents you, that is something that is meaningful because it's going to go on all of the knives, right? I mean, like, you know, for me, it has to do with the hawk, which connects to the Egyptian side of my heritage, and Horus, the ancient Egyptian god. So you can, there we go. You can see it on the GRAZIOSO. You can see it on the momentums and ruckuses. Like, so that it's something that connects to me personally. So yours should connect to you. Okay, you can do this in Illustrator. If you don't know how to do Adobe Illustrator, there are some wonderful graphic designers here within the community that you can reach out to, and they can help you with that. Okay, once this is all done, right, put it together as a package, as a zip file on your computer, images, 3D model, maker's mark, all of that stuff. And then you can ship it over to the factories, all right? Now, that being said, when you submit a design to a factory, don't give them the whole beans. Give them just like a sketch or a drawing of your concept, okay? The reason being is they haven't licensed it for you yet. They haven't made an agreement to take the design from you. So don't give them the whole solution, okay? You just want to give them a taste. So show them what it looks like on the show side. Show them what it looks like on the lock side. That's it. That's it. If you got 3D, do like a fancy rendering or two and send that over to them. And that's it, right? Don't give them more than they need, right? Because I've had the experience where I've submitted some stuff to them and some companies, and they will pick and choose little parts of your designs and do their own, you know, stuff with it. Now, if you do get selected, they will send you a contract, and they'll give you a percentage that will be listed within the contract. Different companies that give different percentages, and you'll sign the contract, and then it's a waiting game. Usually the development cycle from concept to production is anywhere from, you know, typically 6 to 8 months. So just because they've signed something with you doesn't mean they're going to release it right away. So you got to wait. And to be honest, I have designs with KUBEY right now that I licensed back in 2020, early 2020, guys. And it's early 2023, and they still haven't come out yet. So sometimes it's just a waiting game. And you got to kind of like understand that that's part of the process. If you want some stuff done faster, then you got to start your own knife brand. Really, that's the short answer of it. But that's pretty much the whole process, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about this down in the comments below. I really appreciate it. If I left any sort of lingering questions in your mind, please let me know. This was just meant to be a kind of like speedy overview, mainly because I've already recorded this video twice and they were so boring. I tried to bring a lot more energy to this one now, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it and it was informative. But yeah, if I left any, this is, like I said, more of an overview than an in-depth. But if you guys do have questions, drop them down in the comments below, and hopefully I can give you some answers. All right, guys, peace and hair grease. I will catch you in the next one. Lates.